Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adam Bergman's Money Makers, where we talk everything personal finance as it relates to your own personal growth and personal journey to financial independence, financial freedom, and generational wealth for not only yourself, but also for your family. Today is Family Sunday, but before I go out, it's like 7 a.m. right now. I will record videos because I have to give you guys the contents because I'm going to give you my secret right now, and I'm not even going to wait until the end of this video. If you want to beat a bear market, if you want to beat a recession, work your behind off. That's right. Work. Grit and determination outpaces any bear market. That's a fact. Started my first business in 2008. Guess what? Financial collapse. And started my second business, which is YouTube. Now, during another recession, during another collapse, blah, 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 blah. If you work hard, you're gonna get things in life. Plain and simple. Today, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna read you an article from the UK Times. Alex Karp did an interview. And number two, I'm gonna show you a brand new video that just came out by Alex Karp on the PALANTIR website. It's like a 2-minute video. And then I'm always gonna give you my thoughts and connect the dots at the end of the video, as I always do. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, let's begin.
At Palantir, we built our company for the sole purpose of making our institutions work better in bad times. And we also built our institution, Palantir, to thrive in bad times. It's no surprise and no news to anyone that those times are in many ways upon us, both in the geopolitical context, in the context of violence and war, and in the economic context. And at Palantir, we are expanding and seeking to hire more people that fit into Palantir, primarily technical, but people who are eclectic, interesting, intelligent, have their own opinions, believe in expressing those opinions, and will thrive in our culture. Palantir is not for everyone, but many people who've come to Palantir have viewed it as the centerpiece of their life. I view it as the centerpiece of my life. And for those of you who were once at Palantir and helped us build what is become a truly interesting, fascinating, and uniquely impactful institution on the global stage, you're also welcome to come back to Palantir, your once and former home. You will know there are many things you can do outside of Palantir, but there are some things that you can only do at Palantir. And you are especially welcome to come back. Any case, what is become a truly interesting, fascinating, and uniquely impactful institution on the global stage, you're also welcome to come back to Palantir, your once and former home. You will know there are many things you can do outside of Palantir, but there are some things that you can only do at Palantir. And you are especially welcome to come back. Any case, I'm hoping to meet all of you new Palantirians and help build a company to do even more interesting and impactful things in the future. Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. And a lot of people know this. Alex Karp is not the best public speaker. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Elon Musk. Now, I'm not the only one that makes that comparison. A lot of people make that comparison. During the earnings call, Elon Musk hates to be there. So does Alex Karp. They'd rather be moving the company forward. Now, I'm not going to compare Elon Musk to Alex Karp. Elon Musk already accomplished so much. And Alex Karp also accomplished a lot in his own right, but not comparable to Elon, of course. But I believe that he is going to have that Elon moment. I believe he is going to have that developers moment, that Tesla moment with Palantir in the future. But you can't deny that he came out during times are rough. The entire market is collapsing. Palantir obviously is not doing so great like a lot of the other stocks and hasn't been doing well for a while. But he comes out, takes the time to give us this quick speech. It's only like, what, a minute and a half, 2 minutes? And he basically says that Palantir is built for the bad times. We thrive in bad times. And a lot of people would say right now is bad times. Not only geopolitical with Russia, Ukraine, but also with financial. What does he mean by that? He means that Palantir is primarily or was primarily a government contractor. And a lot of things that they do with the government contract is process data, raw data, a lot of data points, billions of data points, put them together and try to prevent something really, really bad. One of those things is full-out scale full-out nuclear war. And it's crazy that I'm saying this, and I'm going to read you an article in a moment, but that is one of the things that Palantir is doing. Now, Palantir gets no love because a lot of people don't know that they're doing this, and a lot of people don't know that Palantir is one of the reasons, I'm not going to say the reason, one of the reasons why you're able to sleep tight at night. Now you can say, Adam, that's the United States government, that's the United States Army. Whether you appreciate them or not, you know, United States might is right type of scenario. We do sleep good at night because of the United States government and, of course, because of Palantir. Because Palantir enables them to do a lot of things that they are doing right now. With the increase of Palantir Gotham Europa, and Europa can be seen as Europe, or Europa can be seen as Jupiter's sun. But Europa is the strongest Gotham platform there is for Palantir. And they're able to collect data not only from still images, but still images, moving images, satellites from outer space, voice, and text. Text is the key over here. And they're able to process all that together and give you a better picture. Now, pay attention when I'm going to say Europe, 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 Europe. You can see that there's a lot of new European contracts. You can see that Palantir is actually moving their base for European activities to Europe, to UK. They're increasing their sales force. They're increasing their workforce from 250 people to 600 people in the United Kingdoms. Their home base for that area is now in the UK. And I'm going to read this article from the UK Times. And if you can put everything together, just connect the dots, you can see what Alex Karp is doing. You can see what Palantir is doing. You can see the absolutely stud job that they're doing in the UK and helping Europe with this war effort or to prevent a full-out scale war. And again, no matter what happens with this geopolitical uncertainty right now with Ukraine, Russia wins, Russia loses, so on and so forth, doesn't matter. There's always going to be that threat that people are worried about. If it's not Russia, North Korea, you know, if it's not North Korea, Middle East, or something like that. Whether it's a true narrative, a false narrative, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about strictly business side. There's always going to be a armament buildup. There's always going to be a data analytics need. And that data analytics need is going to be filled by a specific company called Palantir. Let me read this article from the UK Times, and it's going to make a little bit more sense of what I'm talking about and what Alex Karp says, that we thrive in the bad times. And whether you believe in the bad times or not, believe this. There is a perceived notion of those bad times right now. And if you thrive in those bad times, whether you believe in the bad times or not, the notion is there, which means the times are there. Whether it's organic or artificial, the bad times are now. And Alex Karp is saying that Palantir is going to prosper from this because we thrive in the bad times. This is a publication coming out of the UK. It's the UK Times, Sunday Times, UK publication. It says, it is Saturday afternoon in London. Alex Karp, a tussle-haired American billionaire, is talking about nuclear war. And I quote, the risk of a nuclear event is significantly higher than most people think, he says. Maybe being closer to these things is also more scary. Karp is close indeed. The 54-year-old is chief executive and co-founder along with Peter Thiel of Palantir, the shadowy data analytics giant that was funded by the CIA, counts British intelligence, the NHS, and the Ministry of Defense as clients, and claims to have turned itself into the unseen operating system to Western intelligence. Its software collects vast reams of unstructured information to deliver real-time intelligence and is, Karp says, crucial to warfighting. Is it playing a role? And then it stops, guys. This sucks. So I'm going to take the opportunity to sign up to this publication, but it's not my first time I'm signing up for publications, and I'm honestly going to brag, and I want you to know that I signed up for Seeking Alpha, Barron's, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, and a bunch of other publications. Why? I pay hundreds of dollars a month to cover these subscriptions so you don't have to. I'm then doing like Palantir does. I comb through all the data and I give you the articles that fits you best. And I read you those articles so you don't have to spend crazy amounts of money. And I just wanted you guys to appreciate that with a like, a share, and subscribe if you're feeling that type of conviction to you guys, the audience, from me, Mr. Adam Bergman. Let's sign up. It is playing a role in Ukraine. There is not a lot we can say, he demurs. We are in the middle of a war. For a company that sells software to Western militaries, war makes for good business. KARP, though, does not put it like that. Instead, he reckons we are on the verge of a once-in-a-generation conflict, a looming clash in which Palantir is proudly and deeply involved. Days after we spoke via video link earlier this month, he published a shareholders letter, and I quote, "Our company and the world are at an inflection point," he wrote. The absence of global conflict for more than half a century has left only a generation or two that remember total war. A global pandemic and war in Europe have now conspired to shatter our collective illusions of stability and perpetual peace. He went on to say, and I quote, "We have spent nearly 2 decades preparing for this moment. This is our time, and we intend to seize it." KARP, who set up Palantir in 2003, long ago chose a side. The $17 billion company is unapologetically an ally of Western governments and law enforcement, taking on contracts to, say, track down illegal immigrants in America, analyze data for the Pentagon drone program, and track the flow of goods across Britain's post-Brexit border. KARP admits, however, that his stance has made Palantir a pariah since inception among the famously progressive West Coast tech elites, for which he does not hide his disgust. He calls Silicon Valley an island of valueless corporations that has abdicated its duty to provide the best technologies to its government. Does that sound a little bit like Elon Musk? Boy, I need this coffee. I'm exhausted. Does that sound like Elon Musk a little bit? Hating the rest of Silicon Valley and moving his headquarters to Texas, just like Palantir moved their headquarters to Colorado. Interesting, right? When Google did not renew its Pentagon contract to analyze drone imagery in 2008, after workers demanded that the search giant get out of the business of war, Palantir picked it up. Wow, that's interesting. I never knew that Google declined to renew their contract. Well, thank you, Google. KARP's ad-driven rivals are responsible, he says, for the mass metatization of cultural ills. 2 years ago, he moved to his headquarters to California's Palo Alto, which was subject to regular protests from privacy and civil rights companies, to Denver, Colorado. And KARP, who is not married, now resides in a remote patch of the New Hampshire countryside. "My nearest neighbor is 6 kilometers away," he says. "I have some chickens that come out and visit me in the morning." He may have hunkered down in the East Coast, but he loves London. Palantir's Soho office is its largest, employing nearly a quarter of the firm's 3,000 employees. That's interesting. Nearly a quarter. A quarter of 3,000 would be around 750. So he says nearly 600, right? They want to go to 600. When they first announced that they're moving to UK, they had 250 employees and they want to go to 600. When I read you an article about a week ago, they already had 350 employees. Now they're saying that they're close to a quarter of 3,000 employees. Can you understand how quickly they're hiring employees for the UK offices? Very, very interesting. And I quote, "Some of the most talented people we recruit just want to be here," he says. "London is a strong place to build part of your company." The UK arm is led by Lewis Mosley, grandson of Oswald and nephew of Max. The late Formula One Supremo Lewis 39, a former Tory party activist, keeps a relatively low profile, though. He defended the company use of data to the Sunday Times in 2020, saying that Palantir was actually started to guard against government overreach into personal privacy. And I quote, "We have always had problems with investors because we said we would not sell to US adversaries. They hated it because we were reducing our addressable market and been a big issue from the beginning of Palantir until recently." Then they go on to talk about the financials. I'm going to fast forward with that. I just want to give you the key points. Why we are unable to see the violence occurring as truly something that will be part of our future and not as episodic, he said. Why describe these things as uncertainty when they are happening? So KARP is saying, why is people like saying this might happen. It's currently happening. It's in the process of happening. And Palantir is on the forefront. Palantir is on this boundary, on this border of trying to make sure it doesn't happen or it doesn't get catastrophic or it doesn't get to the next level. They go on to talk about their meeting. He says, at first I met Alex KARP at Palantir's Palo Alto premises in 2020. He was doing Tai Chi, cycling through precious movements as workers veered around the boss in the company's courtyard. Later, in his office, we spoke about the wooden sword he kept there and practiced with while he drank a juice brought by his assistant. I guess Alex KARP knows Kung Fu. A lot of people say that he's a Kung Fu artist. Who knows? It was a fitting introduction to KARP, who, as long as he can remember, has been himself as an outsider. He grew up near Philadelphia in a super intellectual, very far left house as a mixed race child. His mother, an African-American artist, his father, a Jewish pediatrician. He went to a lot of protests. It was a very unusual environment, he says, recalling that most of his mother's friends were gay artists. I didn't know what business acumen was, he added. KARP, studious and introverted, says he always felt different. And I quote, every institution I interacted with, I would come away saying, okay, I can navigate this place, but I'm not a part of it. After the university in Pennsylvania, he studied law at Stanford, where he met Peter Thiel. The pair got along despite their differences. KARP, the far-left intellectual, Peter, the arch-libertarian, who would go on to found PayPal. Write Mark Zuckerberg his first check and famously support Donald Trump. Thiel, who remains Palantir's chairman, this year decided to step down from the board of Facebook as he was ramped up his funding to far-right candidates in the U.S. elections. KARP voted for Hillary Clinton and donated to Joe Biden's campaign. Listen, guys, nobody can be perfect, and despite, what KARP is doing, it's okay. I still support him. I'm going to give him a pass. After graduating, KARP moved to Germany, first to learn the language and then to study the country's social philosophy. He earned a PhD, fell in love, and planned to stay. Then Thiel called. Having sold PayPal, he thought, in the febrile months after 9/11, the payments company's anti-fraud algorithms could be repurposed to fight terrorism. He needed someone to run his new startup, and in 2003, the pair launched Palantir. Guys, it's freaking crazy how they met, right? And how completely different they are, and how Peter Thiel can just be like, hey, Alex, I'm opening up a brand new company. I just sold PayPal, which was one of the biggest companies, period, at that time. And let's start this company, and you're going to be the CEO. That's crazy. Josh Harris, an executive vice president who has been at the company for 9 years, says KARP has a sharp intuition about people, business, and global events and is relentlessly focused. Sounds very interesting to somebody I know, Mr. Elon Musk. Palantir's first product was Gotham, a software platform adapted to finding needles in the haystack, be they potentially terrorists, illegal immigrants, criminals, or mines on roads in Iraq. Its ability to throw personal data has long made it a target of privacy campaigners who warn that KARP has built a big brother for hire. Giant contracts with Americans' Health and Human Services and the NHS, under which Palantir's software processes help data from millions of people, have added to those fares. KARP claims that his company does what it does while also protecting individual privacy. That is the point, he says, because his mission is to, and I quote, defend the West. Means respecting the civil liberties that define it. His professed dedication to privacy goes back to his own sense of being an outsider. And I quote, if there was any form of fascism, I would be the first person on the wall. If it's anti-racial fascism, I'm dead. If it's anti-religious fascism, I'm dead. He admits, though nobody believes us, I wish we were better at explaining it. Yeah, Palantir kind of sucks at explaining stuff. That's why me, a lot of the other YouTubers, we do a decent job at breaking it down and explaining it to people. But definitely do your own research, guys. This is just, the tip of the iceberg. Definitely do your own research, and not just in Palantir, and everything that you do in life. There is something called YouTube University, as I like to call it. We just give you the basic information. Take what you will from what we say, what we read, so on and so forth, the articles that you guys get for free, and definitely take your own path down this road of investing and figuring things out for yourself. Be it good, bad, agree with me, disagree with me, love me, hate me, and take on this company or not. Do your own research. The company has since launched other products, principal among them Foundry, which helps corporations such as BP sort through their mountains of data to make better business decisions. Riding the wave of investor enthusiasm, the tech stocks during the pandemic, Palantir floated in September 2020. KARP's eccentricities, I can't even pronounce that word, were on full display at the time. An avid skier, he opened a virtual investors day with a video of himself clad in spandex sports glasses, helmet, training on wheeled skis. He is a different kind of executive, and Palantir is crafted in his image. And I quote, "I don't view us as a normal tech stock. I view us as a hybrid. We can do well in a disastrous bear market forever," he explains. "I'd be terrible marketing, but a large part of our revenue comes from one thing that's never going to go away. That one thing presumably is war. Indeed, in his view, doom lurks much closer than we think, and it is up to Palantir to keep it at bay." And I quote, "I am very proud whenever a mainstream person gets elected in Europe," he says. And I quote, "I believe Palantir played a significant role in that because of the terror attacks and would otherwise not have been stopped, leading directly to right-wing votes. For KARP, the stakes are clear, even if they are not for everyone else." Guys, the article goes on and talks about Alex Karp's life, how he works, and things like that. I might leave that for a second video. I know this video was a little bit longer than usual, and it might be boring to some people, but again, remember, I read this article and signed up for this publication for you guys, my audience, so that you guys can get a little bit extra, a little bit a little bit of pizzazz in the investments or the places you put in money or possibly think of putting in money, or maybe you're gonna pull out your money from this investment. But one thing is for certain, click on this link right here if you wanna know more about Palantir. Definitely 100% click on this link right now.